Lesson 11. What is flowchart? Our lesson 11 muno ye hwe bibia ye friend flowchart. Ti ka say flowchart kra. Flowchart den. Ye din kan asua in our previous lesson say step by step process algorithm. Di ye hwe algorithm and ye hu say step by step process dey solve a problem algorithm. The concept flowchart a diagram it show this step by step process you solve a problem but using shapes and arrows. The flowchart is a diagram that shows the steps of a process using shapes and arrows. So under flowchart you represent the algorithm using shapes and arrows. Instead of using steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, going under flowchart, we represent these steps using shapes and arrows, and that is a flowchart. The example says you represent the algorithm using shapes and arrows. We define flowchart as being the graphical and as a visual representation of an algorithm. So we have the normal algorithm that we use steps. That's step 1, step 2, step 3. And they represent the algorithm. But under flowchart, you see shapes and arrows. It is sense you see shapes and arrows and they are represent the algorithm. They define flowchart as being the graphical representation of an algorithm. It is a flowchart. Flowchart equals diagram of shapes and arrows representing algorithm. We person we share BBS ewa emame. It algorithm. Algorithm is step by step instructions, and these step by step instructions, they are written in words. It is step-by-step instructions, that the words are actually these step-by-step instructions, and that is what algorithm. But under flowchart, the same instructions, but you represented these instructions using shapes and arrows. So under flowchart, the same instructions shown visually with shapes and arrows. Some of the shapes you see under flowchart. You didn't say in flowchart we use shapes and arrows to represent what algorithm. Some of the shapes you see in flowchart. Any Juma shape be a AD. The kind the oval. The shape kind oval. I know what is an egg shape na friend oval. The answer down circle. Oval we no Juma ben edi. And as I represented then in flowchart. Ye under algorithm say always step 1 ejina homa program no ahyase. And the last step no so ejina homa program no awieye. It under flowchart. Say ye betumi represent program no ahyase any na awieye. You use oval na didi sa juma. The oval shows where the process starts and where the process ends. It is you draw flowchart now. Say you indicate the beginning of the program. We use the oval. Now after say person you indicate the end of the program so and you use oval shape no and didi sa juma. Next shape you see in flowchart a shape your friend parallelogram. It is a shape way and also a dinahoma they represented then in flowchart. You see this particular shape a dinahoma input any output. It is a person that you indicate a step actually say we will take an input from the user. You see this particular shape and the original man. After you say person display baby send a be user no ebe hu na you see parallelogram no na e de ejina ho anase e de indicate that particular step. Example of input no ebi wo a e be ka say enter your name. Jahani we say we are taking input from the user. Output ebi a person display result to the user for the user to be able to see. And also you see the same shape parallelogram no na e indicated that particular process. The next shape you see under flowchart a rectangle. Rectangle we ejina how ma bibia e friend process. Ti ka say process kwa process no eden ya. Process example ni bi say you add two numbers. The ones say bi you take input from the user no. I will say performing operation on that particular input yaje. Example, adding of numbers. And I say you calculate total. You say you are assigning value to a variable no. And also you see rectangle and the original of this particular process. Anything involving operation no, you see rectangle no na they represented that particular step. Another shape you see in flowchart a diamond. In Prendo na you refer to this particular shape as kite. But the technical name angasa you see they refer to this particular shape a diamond and that flowchart. Diamond shape so represent decision. Your program no and who ebe here say ebe take decision in order to know say you call left side and I say you call the right side. It represent decision with yes or no and I say true or false part. The person indicate conditions and I say person represent conditions in our steps. You see diamond on a digital that particular step. Diamond represent decision with yes or no or true or false part. The next shape I can was the arrow. Arrow no juma edi nyina say the arrow shows direction of flow. Arrow no na say from this shape no you be call this particular shape and then from this shape no you be move it to this particular shape. The arrow shows direction of flow from one step to the other, indicating where to go. The arrow no edit direction in our flowchart. These 5 shapes are and then the most commonly used shapes in flowchart. There were other shapes and also you see, but 5 shapes are yakan one semi and then the most commonly used flowchart shapes. You share the oval, you share the parallelogram, you share rectangle, you share diamond, and a arrow. So these 5 shapes are the most commonly used shapes in flowchart. And the algorithm the algorithm to add 2 numbers. You say step 1 you start, step 2 get the first number, step 3 get the second number, step 4 add the 2 numbers, step 5 display the result, and at step 6 end. You converted this particular algorithm into flowchart. So let's turn this algorithm into flowchart. So we say step 1 a start. And that flowchart is said to represent the beginning of a program. We use the over. The over start. After starting, now you move it to step 2. That get the first number. So how you say we are taking input. The anything there a input, you say you see the parallelogram shape, and they represented that particular anything that has to do with what input. You say input. After you move it to step 3. Step 3 get the second number. How you say we are still taking input in the shape when you see our and also the same shape, the parallelogram what shape so we are still taking input. After you move it to step 4, add the two numbers. You say we are performing an operation, and I said there is a process going on over here. And that flowchart, to represent a process, you see rectangle and a digital a process. You see rectangle, process or operation. After of course step 5, display the result. Among the shapes, you see a display result. To display results, you see the same shape as the input. You see the same shape as getting input from the user. And also you see the same shape, that is the parallelogram to what? To output the result for the user to see. After the end of the program. In flowchart, shape when you see it representing the end of the program. We still use the oval. We have to connect all these shapes together using the arrow to indicate the flow of the program. To draw the complete flowchart for adding two numbers, you say start. Now arrow no atwaso. Then you're taking input, that's input first number. Then we connect it with the other one, input second number. Then after taking all the input, then add the two numbers, that is a process. Then we continue with the arrow, then display the results. Added the two numbers we display the results. So display results. After displaying the results, our program ends. So you say to indicate the beginning of a program in flowchart, we use the oval. Say you're taking input from the user, we use the parallelogram. And then we say input first number, input second number. Here you see that shape. To perform a process, we use rectangle to indicate that. Then you add the two numbers. A process I performing. That is adding numbers together, calculating numbers, even assigning values to variables. And then can we use the rectangle to what? To represent that process. Now, yes, you display results. We still use the same shape as taking input. The input any output, and you see the same shape. Practical example on flowchart. The answer we take this particular question. Draw a flowchart to check whether a person qualifies to vote or not. The person should input their age. If the age is 18 or above, display you can vote. Otherwise, display you cannot vote. Draw flowchart. So flowchart we check ehunu say nipa bi betumi vote anase sa nipa no ontumi vote. E was say nipa no enter the age. This or enter the age ni bia. Say age na obe enter no above 18 anase ye 18 na. And the yen display enter nipa no say ubetumi vote. Say age na obe enter no enye 18 anase say embro 18 years and ye yen kire nipa no say wontumi vote. And the draw flowchart and represent this particular program. Which may post a video way. Now what try say Uber draw flowchart to represent this particular example. Then share solution to the practical example. So when we say program no associate and we use the oval to start. Now you are connected with the next shape. So we are taking input from the user a age. The program may say I was saying enter the age. The age. You see the parallelogram shape to take the input. Then we connect it again with the arrow. Then say age we are now coming to check say indeed age na nipa na entire is it equal to 18 and I say above 18. we are taking a decision. The decision you say you see diamond and I did mark that particular step. If age is greater than or equal to 18, and we say decision you be 2 paths, either yes or no, and I say true or false. You see true and false. Condition way either true and I say false. You be 2 paths. The 2 paths, we have the true path, then the false path. It's a condition you true, then you be display you can vote. The house you won't say you display will be a output. So you see the parallelogram shape you represent input in the output. So display you can vote. Now after program no end. So condition no ever false, then we display now say display you can't vote. Now and also program no end. This is the flowchart for the practical example. As you said, the winya any media pet. Set mo why are there? Yes, share assignment. The assignment me draw a flowchart that asks the user to enter a number and checks whether it is even or odd. If the number is divisible by 2, display even number. Otherwise, display odd number. To help me, person would draw flowchart as a flowchart. Every input a number from the user. The number user no ever enter no. You better check say number ni even number and I say odd number. This a number ni bet me divided by 2 and not just a number ni even number. Into program no and display even number. Say into me and divided by 2 per. Not just a number ni odd number. Into program no and display odd number. To use decision shape and proper flow lines. Let's subscribe to this particular channel. Like it, now share a video so I'm